a reminder as to what this series is. It is a series offered to businesses to give them resources related to wellness for themselves and their employees, just to help increase overall well-being for different folks within our community. The series is brought to you by the Chamber, Carris Health, Woodland Centers, and Project Turnabout. At the end of the presentation today, you guys will receive a survey in your email. Please do respond to it. It helps give us guidance on future topics, as well as knowing if there's any other types of struggles that are occurring for folks that we could address, and also any type of resources you're looking to get more information on. So without further ado, myself, Amber Silva, I'm a wellness coordinator at Carris Health, and Allie Johnson she's a RDN at Carris Health as well. We're going to talk about nutrition and exercise, some of the best medicine for your overall well-being.
Hello, like Amber said, my name is Allie Johnson. I am a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I work at the hospital, both with inpatients and with the dialysis unit, where I educate and provide nutrition recommendations and advice for patients working with them on how to help improve their dietary habits and their overall health. Today, I plan to talk a little bit about why nutrition can be some of the best medicine for overall well-being. I'll go over what your macronutrients are and the requirements for those, as well as your micronutrients, hydration. I'll also touch on some gut health and fad diets as well. Before I get going on all that, though, the main thing I want you to remember is that your body needs fuel to function, and the quality of the fuel you supply your body makes plays a huge role in how well your body does function. So ensuring that you are fueling your body properly can help ensure your body functions well. So first off, we'll start with talking about one of the main macronutrients, which is carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are vitally important for your nutrition. They are your body's main fuel source, and they actually provide their strings of sugar essentially found in foods that you eat, and they break them down and supply your body with energy. And your brain relies almost solely on those sugars to function. So without adequate carbohydrates, your body just does not function as well. And a lot of the foods that supply your carbohydrates are some of your vegetables, your more starchy vegetables, as well as fruits, dairy products, anything with sugar, such as candy, baked goods, things like that with any added sugar. So why are carbohydrates important? Like I stated before, those carbohydrates are important for, they supply your body with the energy that it needs. And those carbohydrates can be broken down into two subcategories: the complex carbohydrates, which are longer chains of sugars, and they take a while for your body to break them down and provide more sustained energy. Whereas the other subcategory are your simple sugars, which provide your body with a more rapid source of energy, but they can also cause a crash in that energy, which can make a person feel rather lousy. If anybody has had a large, sugary snack or a lot of candy and then didn't have much else, they can really end up with feeling not very well from that sugar crash, where a lot of people, will rely on sugar to get them through the day, or if they're feeling run down, they choose a sugary snack to help energize them, which does help in a short term, but then you result in that crash of once that energy has gone away. So how much carbohydrates does your body need to sustain that energy? Everybody is different, obviously, but the general recommendation is to shoot for about 45 to 65% of your calories to come from carbohydrates. And that's a variety of carbohydrates, your simple carbohydrates as well as your complex carbs. And that 45 to 65%, that seems pretty ambiguous. So just as an example, if a person needs about 200 calories in their diet, the goal would be to get about 900 to 1300 calories daily from carbohydrates. And that equals to around 225 to 325 grams. And the nice thing about carbohydrates is they are listed on the nutrition facts panel of products. So you can look at that nutrition facts panel and find out how many carbohydrates are in there. So a lot of diabetics rely on looking at those carbohydrates to manage their blood sugars as well. Again, like I said, getting a variety of carbohydrates is vitally important. One, to help your body get quick energy from those simple sugars, and then more sustained energy from those complex carbohydrates. And obviously recommend that you'd shoot for more complex carbohydrates, or if you're choosing simple carbohydrates, choosing the ones that are more nutrient dense, like the dairy products and your fruits, versus simple sugars that come from candy and added sugar like that. Now, next, I'll move on to the second macronutrient, is the fats. And fats are molecules that can be used to fuel our bodies as well, but they're not as readily available or as preferred of a fuel source for our bodies, but they're used as more of a secondary fuel source. They are often found in animal products that we eat, as well as some plant-based items, such as oils, nuts, avocados. So they're abundant in our diet. They can also be added to products. Fats are essential for your overall health. They're not as villainous as they once thought to be. They are important for providing functions like insulation for our body, as well as they transport fat-soluble vitamins, and they're a good source of stored energy that we can utilize if we run out of that more immediate energy source of carbohydrates. Fats can be broken down, just like carbohydrates, into different categories. The categories for fats are saturated fats, trans fats, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats. Saturated fats and trans fats are the fats that we encourage people to limit or avoid, specifically trans fats. Trans fats do not provide any beneficial effects to our health, and therefore we recommend not having as little trans fat as possible in your diet. And trans fats are listed on nutrition facts panels as well. However, there's one caveat with the nutrition labeling laws. A product can list 0 grams of trans fat in per serving in their product if there's less than 0.5 grams in that specific serving. So one way you can look to make sure that there's no trans fat in your product is reading the ingredient label on the bottom, usually written in small font in the bottom of the nutrition facts panel. Any word that says hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, that means there are trans fats in those products, so it's best to avoid those items. And then when it comes to saturated fat, it's recommended that less than 10% of your calories come from saturated fats. Saturated fats come from mostly animal-based items, and we find them in our butter, the fat in our meat that we eat, and coconut oil is another saturated fat. And like I said before, limiting that amount is important. However, some can be beneficial in our bodies as well. As for the poly and monounsaturated fats, those are dubbed the good fats, and we recommend replacing some of those saturated and trans fats with the poly and monounsaturated fats, as they help our bodies with decreasing our cholesterol level and decrease our risk for cardiovascular disease. And those poly and monounsaturated fats come from plant sources like avocados, nuts, things like that. So it would be good to add some more nuts into your diet to get some of those polyunsaturated fats and help decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease. And they're a great little snack, portable snack you can bring with, or have some nuts on hand if you're feeling a little run down and need some energy. Next, I'll move on to the final macronutrient, which is protein. Proteins are chains of amino acids, many of which are deemed essential to our bodies, as our bodies cannot make them. Thus, they have to come from the foods that we eat and beverages that we drink. The proteins we get come from animal products like meat, eggs, fish, dairy products, as well as plant-based proteins like legumes, nuts, beans, seeds, and some grains. The amino acids we need from eating provide our body with those amino acids are the building blocks to our body. They provide the structures for our muscle tissue, our skin, our bones, as well as they help create our hormones and our enzymes. So they're important for the functioning of our body. Without adequate protein, our bodies are not able to build or repair any of our body tissues. For instance, if you have a wound, you are inadequate protein stores, you'll end up breaking down muscle to try to heal those wounds. So getting adequate protein is important. Protein can be broken down to provide energy when our bodies are in desperate need. However, this is not the first choice of energy for our bodies, and it is detrimental to our muscles and other lean body mass, as those are broken down to supply those amino acids for our body when the energy cannot come from other items. Now, how much protein do you need? Everyone, again, needs a different amount of protein. However, the general population, it's recommended that you get about 0.35 to 0.45 grams per pound of your body weight daily. So if a person weighs about 175 pounds, shooting for 61 to 79 grams of protein is a good ballpark range to shoot for. And with all these nutrients, it's not necessary that it's every day you get the exact amount of nutrients your body needs, but averaging out throughout a week or so, it's important to get an average of that 61 to 79 grams daily to get adequate protein for your body. Now, next, we will move on to the micronutrients. Micronutrients can be broken down into two subcategories, vitamins and minerals. Vitamins are molecules in your body that help support proper functions. There are 13 essential vitamins, which are split into two categories, the fat-soluble vitamins as well as water-soluble vitamins. The fat-soluble vitamins need fat present to be absorbed and utilized. That's one of the reasons why getting fat in your diet is important. Fat-soluble vitamins can actually be stored in our body because they can be stored in those fat stores that our body has. Therefore, it's not necessarily necessary that you get those fat-soluble vitamins daily, such as vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. And especially here in Minnesota, where we don't get enough vitamin D from the sunshine on a daily basis, especially in the winter, it's nice that it can be stored in our bodies in those fat stores. And as for the water-soluble vitamins, they cannot be stored, thus it's important to get those on a daily basis. And vitamins come from a variety of foods, a lot of fruits and vegetables. So one thing I like to point out to people is getting a variety of colors helps ensure that you're getting a variety of different vitamins. So when we often hear the term eat the rainbow, that means different colored fruits and vegetables, not just Skittles. So make sure to eat a variety of fruits, vegetables of different colors so that you're getting different vitamins and get all the different vitamins your body needs. There's different recommendations for each vitamin, and I'm not going to go through them all specifically, but the biggest thing is eating that variety will help ensure you get adequate vitamins. And you can get blood tests to see if you are deficient in any vitamins. However, The biggest thing we look for is if you have any deficiencies and any symptoms of deficiencies would be the biggest thing. And if that's the case, then supplementation or ensuring that you're eating certain foods that are high in those specific vitamins would be the recommendation. Now, next for the other micronutrient, which would be the minerals. They are elements that come from many foods that we eat, like the meat, dairy products, beans, fruits, vegetables, grains. The minerals are also vital for optimal health. They provide structure, such as the calcium and phosphorus in foods are important for our bone structure and our teeth. And then they also, a lot of minerals are important for other functions like muscle contraction. For instance, potassium and phosphorus help make sure our heart functions properly. So getting adequate minerals helps all of our bodies function. They're present in varying amounts in our body, and like vitamins, each mineral has a different requirement, and the best way to make sure you're getting enough of each of the minerals is eating a variety of foods. And next up is hydration. Hydration, why is that so important? Well, up to 60% of our body is made of water, so adequate hydration plays a huge role in many aspects of our well-being. Adequate hydration is necessary to keep our joints lubricated, our tissues moist, our body temperature regulated, allowing the nutrients to be adequately dispersed through our bodies, and it helps keep our bowels moving. The easiest way to ensure that you're hydrated is by paying attention to your thirst. If you're thirsty, make sure to drink. However, if your thirst is blunted or you're not paying attention to your thirst, another secondary thing you can look at is pay attention to the color of your urine. If your urine is dark yellow or more concentrated, you're likely dehydrated and need more fluids. Your urine really should be a more clear or pale yellow color, and that will indicate you're adequately hydrated. Water is not the only way you can stay hydrated. Anything that is liquid at room temperature counts towards that fluid your body needs to stay adequately hydrated. However, if you're drinking excess caffeine, it can, caffeinated beverages like energy drinks, a lot of high caffeine coffee or something can actually be dehydrating, as it causes a diuretic effect. It makes you urinate more, thus kind of eliminating the effects of that extra fluid that you're getting in. So it's best to avoid excess caffeine for that. Foods such as soups, cucumbers, watermelon, other high water content foods can also count towards your fluid balance, but it's easiest, rather than trying to count out all the milliliters or whatever in the fruit, vegetables, and fruits that you eat, just paying attention to the beverages that you're drinking is the easiest way. But beyond monitoring the signs of your hydration, the goal for estimating how much fluid you need is to take your body weight, divide it in half, and drink that much in fluid ounces. So if a person weighs 175 pounds, they would need about 87.5 fluid ounces daily of fluid to remain adequately hydrated. Obviously, if their urine is dark or they've been exercising or sweating a lot, they're going to need more fluids than that, but it's a general rule of thumb to shoot for that half of your body weight in ounces. Now, I'm going to move on to gut health. Beyond eating well-balanced meals and making sure you're getting adequate macronutrients and micronutrients, as well as staying adequately hydrated, making choices to promote good gut health can significantly improve your overall well-being. That old saying that says, trust your gut, it's actually proving to be more scientifically accurate than we thought ever before, as science is showing that there's a gut-brain connection that allows communication back and forth between our gut and our brain. So creating a more well-balanced diet and a healthy gut can promote a healthier mind as well. With this gut-brain connection, the communication helps regulate digestion and mood, among other things. So what can you do to help promote your gut health? Make sure to incorporate probiotics, prebiotics, and fiber into your diet. You might be wondering, well, what are those? Probiotics are actually good bacteria that live in our gut, And it's important to promote a good environment that can sustain that good gut bacteria. And you can get probiotics from foods like mostly fermented foods, such as kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, and yogurt, among others. And another way to help those probiotics is by eating prebiotics. And prebiotics are actually foods that are food for the good bacteria in our gut. So those prebiotics come from fruits, beans, whole grains, and other items. And beyond those prebiotics, fiber is also important for adequate gut health. Fiber is indigestible, and it often comes from plants, and it helps promote good gut health. You can split fiber into two categories, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber helps lower cholesterol and keeps you feeling full longer, thus lowering the feelings of needing snacking between meals. So if you're working on weight loss or just eating less, making sure you have adequate fiber can make your stomach feel full without getting extra calories. Soluble fiber is found in foods like oatmeal, nuts, beans, apples, blueberries, among other things as well. As for insoluble fiber, this fiber draws water into your GI tract, which helps make your stool softer and easier to pass, and helps with bowel regulation as well. And if anybody has been constipated before, even had diarrhea, when you've got that issue going on, you're not feeling very well. So making sure you've got good bowel movements helps your overall well-being as well. Those insoluble fibers can be found in plant items like beans, nuts, and vegetables as well. One recommendation I would make is when adding more fiber to your diet, do so slowly. If you all of a sudden throw a bunch of extra fiber into your diet, it can add more GI distress like gas and bloating. So do so gradually. Briefly before I'm done, I'm just going to touch on fad diets. I've got a list of some fad diets that are popular these days. Amber, if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be lovely. Thank you. You see like popular diets like the keto diet, intermittent fasting, things like that. The biggest thing I just want to say with those diets is when people are looking to improve their well-being, quick fixes and these easy choices like these diets that have everything laid out or these rules to follow, they may seem appealing. However, oftentimes the issue is they don't allow for long-term improvements in your overall well-being. They may provide short-term benefits, and you might see significant changes initially. However, these dietary changes are not often sustainable, and therefore, once you stop following these strict rules, that weight loss you may have seen or those other benefits you may have gotten from the initial diet often is lost quite quickly, and you might gain the weight back pretty readily as well. So when fad diets eliminate entire food groups or overly restrictive or costly, or they might be just make it difficult to eat in normal social situations, they simply don't provide those long-term benefits you'll need for your overall health. So the best advice I have when it comes to a good diet is make sure you're making small, sustainable changes rather than overhauling your diet by trying to follow these fad diets. And remember that everything can fit in moderation. So all foods fit. You don't have to be super restrictive to find health benefits. And some closing tips is eat well balanced meals that contain all the macronutrients as discussed earlier, as well. Stay hydrated, promote gut health, and avoid unsustainable fad diets. Remember, everything in moderation. And then I do have some resources here too. If you're looking for additional information, you can go to myplategut.gov as well as eatright.org. There's wonderful apps that you can find on your phone to make it readily accessible, some of which are like the Lose app, MyFitnessPal, Simple Start with MyPlate, or the water tracker to make sure you're staying hydrated. There's countless other apps too, but those are just some samples. And then you could also, if you're looking for a more one-on-one approach to weight loss or just some good dietary changes, there is the option to meet with a dietitian at Skylark Center through Carris. And got the number listed here. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Unmute myself there. All right, so I am going to talk about exercise. So the things I'll cover are what's considered exercise, how much should I get, types of exercise, tips, and then some resources as well. So what's considered exercise? You know, exercise can be an ugly word to some people. They can shy away from it if they hear it. So throughout this, I want you guys to think of exercise as just consistent movement, because exercise is anything that gets your heart rate up for a consecutive 10 minutes or more. And the reason you want that 10 minutes or more is because that's when you start to have some cardiovascular benefit occurring, is if you hit that 10-minute marker or above when you're exercising. So exercise could include gardening. It could be walking, biking, running, maybe dancing. Maybe you're an avid outdoors person and you chop wood regularly. That could be exercise for you as well. Perhaps you're a mom and you're running around with the kids and your heart rate stays up for 10 minutes. You're getting in a workout. So just, you know, remember, exercise is more than going to the gym. So how much should you get? Well, you want to think about what are your goals? Are you looking to lose weight? If you are, you want to shoot for 6 to 7 days of the week for 45 to 60 minutes. But keep in mind, if you're looking to lose weight, you may not be currently doing a lot of physical activities. So you don't want to jump into this exercise recommendation. You want to work your way up to it. And that might be starting with, you know, 2 to 3 days of the week for 10 minutes. And then every week or two, you start to gradually increase either your number of days or your number of minutes that you're exercising. So keep that in mind. And also, like I mentioned in the last slide, you want to try to do your exercise in 10-minute bouts. You can break your exercise up into 10-minute bouts throughout the day to equal that 45 to 60 minutes. So keep that in mind as well. If you're looking to just improve your endurance or maintain your fitness, the recommendation is 150 minutes of exercise a week. So you could break that up however you want to. Maybe you're doing 5 days a week for 30 minutes at a time, or in some other type of increment. So now the different types of exercise. We've got cardio. I'm sorry, my daughter's playing piano here. I'm gonna shut it off. We've got cardio, which is meant to improve our cardiovascular function. It can be performed on a daily basis, and different activities that would be considered cardio would be walking, biking, rollerblading, those types of things. Next, we have strength training. This is vital for us to be able to build our muscle groups. And if we're able to maintain our strength, then we're able to stay independent as we age. So keep that in mind. If you want to keep your independence, make sure you're doing your strength training on a regular basis. I apologize. I had childcare, but my son fell at school, so my mom went to go pick him up. So bear with me here. So strength training should be done every other day. You want to have a day of rest in there to let your muscles rebuild, because what actually happens when you do strength training is your muscles break down a little bit, and then on that day of rest, they're able to rebuild. So think of it as cutting back a plant. You know, you cut back your plant, but then as it grows back more flush. So it's that type of concept. You could do strength training every day if you work different muscle groups on those consecutive days. So for example, someone might do upper body strength training on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then do lower body strength training on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So different ways you could go about it. Next is stretching. This is super important too to do on a daily basis, because it helps get that blood flow throughout your body. And when we have better blood flow through our body, the better we feel overall. Our muscles tend to function better, our brain functions better. It's just super important. And you can mix this into your work day. You know, make a reminder on your calendar every hour to just stand up and stretch for a minute or so, and then you can sit down and get back to work. You might notice that you have more energy when you do this. You feel less fatigued. You have less of that afternoon drag. those types of things. So I highly encourage that people stretch throughout the day. And even that might be how you start your morning, is you have like a 5-minute stretch routine you go through. Whatever it is, make sure you're doing that. And then too, when you're doing your workouts, you want to make sure you do a warm up and a cool down. And you want to incorporate stretching into both of those, but you want to do the majority of your stretching in that cool down, because your muscles are nice and warm, and then you lessen your risk of straining them. So, and very important thing to do with stretching. And also, if we stretch regularly, that helps improve our balance too and our agility. So keep those muscles nice and loose. Another form of exercise is called HIIT training, which stands for high intensity interval training. It's a very efficient way to train. A lot of times it incorporates cardio and strength training. So you're getting both of those types of movement in one workout. And what HIIT training is you're doing a workout with these bursts of high intensity. So if you're doing a HIIT training workout, instead of having to go for that 45-minute workout, you could actually work out for 30 minutes and you're going to have a greater afterburn effect. So you're going to end up burning more calories overall in a shorter workout time frame than if you were to walk for 45 minutes at a consistent pace. Because with the HIIT training, you're going to do a certain activity for, say, 2 minutes of walking, and then you do a 30-second burst of jogging or sprinting, and then you go back to your walking. So then you have those different intervals, and it keeps your heart and your body and metabolism just on its toes, so then it functions in a different manner and you burn more calories overall. So I highly recommend HIIT training if you're able to do such a thing. So just some tips. If you haven't exercised in a while, make sure you start slow and do a gradual increase with your intensity and time. You know, maybe think about, I'm just going to start by parking farther away in the parking lot so I get more movement in, or I'm going to go down every single aisle in that grocery store, even if I don't need something from it. You're getting in more movement. Think inefficiency when you want to get more movement in and you're just getting going with it. You know, if you're doing laundry and you've got a ton of it to put away, instead of trying to take a big load at once, take a bunch of little loads and just get more movement in. You know, if you want to get an activity tracker, that's an easy way too, to be able to see where you're at and then to do those gradual builds and more steps that you're doing. Make sure you find an activity you enjoy doing. If you're running because Sally ran and she lost a bunch of weight and that's your goal too, but you hate every pound on that pavement, do not do it, because you're not going to continue on with it, right? And then you might injure yourself too if you don't have proper form and everything along with it. So find that activity you like and stick with it, but also vary it in a way. You don't want to do the same thing day in and day out too. Find an exercise buddy. If you can find someone to hold you accountable to get to the gym, to meet for a walk, maybe you're meeting virtually now, whatever it is, if you have that exercise buddy, you're more apt to stick with it too. And then schedule your exercise into your day. You know, you can be like, I'm going to exercise on Wednesday, and then it's Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. and you haven't done it yet, right? So if you're going to say, I'm going to exercise on Wednesday, say, I'm going to do it in the morning. Make sure you're getting up on time and go do your workout. Encourage walking meetings at work as well. This is a great way to get more movement in, and then also it allows you to even think better because you're getting better blood flow to the brain. And then also encourage people taking walk breaks at work. A great way to get up and move and to be more productive throughout the day afterwards. So just some exercise resources, area gyms, you know, there's Snap Fitness in Wilmer, Spicer, other smaller communities. There's the YMCA, there's Club Bethesda, which is focused for folks 50 or older. There's Anytime Fitness, and then there's some area schools with fitness centers. And then there's a bunch of free apps you can look at, and also some free YouTube videos that you could look at as well. So just some key learnings from today. Remember, good nutrition is everything in moderation. Water, make sure you're staying hydrated. Quick fixes often don't result in long-lasting habits. Exercise can take many forms, and then it's important to vary your exercise, and then most of all, have fun with it all. If you get too serious with this, a lot of times you just give up if you have a little hiccup. So have fun with it, and remember, as you go about this, if you have little dips in your consistency, that's okay. Just don't let it plummet all the way back to where you began.